Hi, I'm Christine Poplow, and I'm a member of the Advisory Services Department at BMS or Broadloom. I'm here today to talk about what you need to do to get your books ready for year end. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to talk today about what you need to prepare, what you need to do on the last day of the year, financial preparation, tax preparation, and then what to do after after taxes are filed. So the first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of terminology, talking about what are financials compared to month end and a hard close of the month. So our financials are when we prepare our monthly financials, we make our adjustments, we do our bank reconciliations, and we do what we call a soft close of the month. Month end is just running some baseline reports and doing some purging of your accounts receivable and accounts payable. And then the hard close is when we have determined that our financials are finalized, there's no other changes, and we actually hard close the month. Once we do that, nothing else can be made, no changes can be made in that previous month. So then let's talk about how to prepare and why we have to do this. As you can see, there's a lot of modules in this system, and there's a lot of items that we need to make sure are cleaned up. We want to reflect current earnings. We want to clean up those old items and prepare for next year. So the first thing that we want to do is start an inventory. So we will go into inventory control, and you'll see that there's an inventory purge button. Inventory purge takes your old inventory that's no longer has a balance, and it just archives it. So it doesn't mess up your reports, or when you're looking at things, you don't see that stuff that's already been used. So the first thing we would do is go into the branch and make sure that we've selected all of our branches. We can pick which product codes we want to be looking at. In this case, we generally select all. The most important thing here, though, is to make sure that you're only purging items with less than 0.01. If you were to say 1 and you do the purge with all product codes and you have 1 bucket of glue, that 1 bucket of glue is going to disappear. So in this case, we're just saying a small balance. And then we want to purge only items received before a certain date. I usually, when I'm doing this, go back a month. So in this case, I would put 11/7 and I would run that report. So as I run this report, it's going to ask if I'm sure. I say yes. Purge is complete. And this is what the purge looks like. It's going to give you a list of everything that was moved to an archive status. The other thing that you'll want to do is to do a physical count. There's a couple different ways to do that. You can either do a physical count with a barcode, or you can go out and just manually count. There's several tools that can help you with that. You can use your inventory reports and do an inventory listing, count off of that, or you can, like I said, do barcode. And there's more information on that on our website for more information. After we've done that, we make our necessary adjustments in the system, and we then would review our inventory for obsolete or aged inventory. In this case, I've printed an inventory valuation report. The report here is going to show all of the items that we have in inventory. Different columns. We have an item cost column. We also have an age column. I think it's really important to go through, and I just print this to Excel. I filter it, and I can look and I can filter it and say, I want anything greater than, let's say 1,500 days. And it's going to give me just those items, and I can look and say, do I really have these items still in inventory? Are they valuable still? Do I need to maybe write them off or mark them down? So that is another area of preparation for you. Another area would be to look into your purchase orders. Within your purchase orders, you will see, your list of purchase orders. You have some that may have been partially received, but they haven't been closed. So I will often look at the date of my purchase order. And if I click on that date button, it's going to sort it. If I click it again, it's going to reverse it so that the oldest is at top. So I could go through these, and if, oh, we're not going to use this, I can go in and close these. I can right click. I can look at the different items. This one, for some reason, the cancel close is not open. So I would want to go into this and find out why, in this case, why we can't close this. These are steps just to keep things clean. They're not necessarily necessary for the software to run properly, but it's ways to just make sure that you're keeping your, like I said, your software clean, easier to use. The next thing that we want to look at is open orders. We want to go into sales processing, order entry maintenance, and you can see here we have 1,100 jobs still open. We want to clean these up. Like I said, with the purchase orders, if I click on the date button, click it twice, it's going to reverse that order. And I can see why some of these orders are still open. I would not think that we would have an order open for 9 years, almost 10. So this is something, again, if you're not invoicing these jobs, you're leaving money on the table. You've probably already paid for the material, and you've probably already paid for the installation or the labor. So it's best to get these invoiced, cleaned up, make it easier to run your business. The next thing I want to discuss is the years within your software. So if we go back to the general ledger, in the account maintenance, you can see this general ledger date maintenance. And if I look here, I can see that I am in 2023. So 2022 is closed, which is good, because the software only allows for you to have 12 open months. So if we were to still have 2022 open and we're in December, we're probably running into some errors. So we want to make sure that before we get to the end of December, we have 2022 closed. We also want to make sure that we have the first several months of 2023 closed, so that when we come in on the first of 2024, we have open periods and everything is clean. The other thing I want to talk about is over here in this part of the screen, and this is what we call our soft close. So you'll hear us talk about soft closing, and right now I could go through and change my soft close to period 12 on certain modules, and this would only allow people to work in period 12. So after financial statements are completed, I generally suggest go in and soft close these months so that people can't go back and make adjustments into previous months that you've already issued your financial statements for. The next area that we want to prepare is an accounts payable. In accounts payable, those are the items that you are saying that you owe different vendors, and it's important to keep that cleaned up. So when we're in accounts payable reports, we have this option for an open invoice listing. The open invoice listing is going to look like this. It's going to list your vendor IDs, the names, the item number, dates, everything that you could do or you need to know. In this case, I'm concerned with this balance due column. So I'm going to highlight that column. And I want to know, why do I still have, for example, an AP item for $1. That needs to be cleaned up. Again, I could filter these and sort them by the smallest to the largest to find out, why do I have these small balances? Why haven't they been paid? Again, this is just cleaning things up, making sure that we're paying everything the way we should, and that we've got our accounts payable clean. The other report that deals with accounts payable is your APRNI, or your inventory received, not invoiced yet. This reflects inventory that you've received and you haven't posted your AP. So the balance of that inventory is in your inventory valuation. However, it's not in your general ledger or your trial balance. So where you find that report is in purchase orders. I like to say this is the hardest report to find in the software, but it's under print reports, receiving reports, and then the pull down for receiving report by product type, AP not invoiced. You will put in your beginning date and ending date. Since this should be done monthly, I'm usually just looking at December. So I put that information in and then I press the print button. That report looks like this. It's going to give you a listing of what you haven't posted your AP invoice on or yet. And I am in good shape. I just have this one item, and this is the purchase order. It's going to tell you the vendor, what you received, the date you received it, and what the item is. So what you need to do at this point is say, okay, why haven't I posted my AP bill? Could be that the vendor hasn't mailed it to you. Could be that it's just misplaced. For the most part, since most of our vendors do send us our invoices usually before we even get the inventory anymore, this report should not have a huge balance. It usually should be something that's taken care of. Anything that is on this may be just a mistake, or it might be something that, again, you misplaced the invoice, or maybe it's something that was received incorrectly and you need to go in and then fix that. While we're in accounts payable and we're working on that, we want to start preparing for our 1099s. 1099s are due to your vendors usually by the end of January. So it's important that you prepare for this prior to the end of the year. What you'll want to do is go into accounts payable reports, and your vendor listing. In your vendor listing, you're going to see a listing of everyone and all of the information that goes with it that you have down as a vendor. You can see there's a lot of information here. What we want to do is filter this like I have, and we want to look at the type. So in this column is the type of vendor it is. Some people will list them as subs. In this system, we've listed them as INS for installers. You can also see we have inventory, overhead, advertising, but in this case, we're concerned with the installers. And then what we want to do is look in this column for their social security or their tax ID. Anything that is missing one, so I would filter and just look for blanks, or in this case, the asterisk or the little quote mark. And we can see that these vendors, we don't have either their taxpayer identification number, their EIN, or their social security number. So a 1099 will not print for them. So this gives you a little bit of time to make sure that you can get that information before year end and then before the end of January. The next area that we want to look into for prep is accounts receivable. So in accounts receivable, we're going to run two different reports. We're going to run our AR aging and our customer deposit agings. Again, this is just cleanup for year end. We want to look to see if anything has a balance that we could clean up. So let's look at our AR aging report. Here we go. So AR aging, I have gone through and I've added this column and created the totals, come up with my total AR. And again, when you filter this report by using the filter button here, you can sort these items. You can look for things like less than or greater than to come up with what you really need to review. I like to look kind of the smallest to largest. You're going to have a lot of negative amounts here. They may be payments or credit memos that haven't been applied. In that case, I would want to look at the individual customer ID instead of this for all of these negatives. What I'm really interested though in are amounts like 2 cents, 52 cents, $9.94. Is this the actual invoice number or did they short pay? So this is where you get to clean this up and make sure that the balance really reflects what is owed to you. Again, this is something that I would also suggest that you do this monthly or quarterly to try to clean this up. And you would want to do the same thing with the customer deposits. Your customer deposit listing looks very similar to your accounts receivable, and it gives you just the deposit amounts. But what I'm more interested in is probably this column over here, column M. These are deposits that we've had for over 120 days, and I'd want to find out why we haven't invoiced those jobs. Again, it's important that we're not leaving money on the table. We've got a job here, we've received part of the payment, but we want to invoice it to get the rest of it. And then finally, the last thing that I want to look at for before my year end is I want to look at my balance sheet or my trial balance, whichever one you would prefer looking at. So what I do here is I'm looking for accounts like clearing accounts or a suspense account and wanting to know why we haven't cleaned that out, because a clearing account should be an in and out. Same thing with a suspense account. I'd want to make sure that my sales tax payable reflects really what I owe. My installer clearing, these are all items that I would want to look at to make sure that the balances are accurate. And this is the time to clean it up versus in January when you've got a lot of other things that you're doing like 1099s, etc. Now, finally, you've done all your preparation, and now we get to come to the actual day, the last day of the year. So we've done our prep. It's December 31st. Now it's time to do basically month end. We're just running these baseline reports to make sure everything balances. So when we're in the software, we've added a new option for you in General Ledger. Used to be you'd have to jump all over to try to find your items that you needed to print, but right now we have an option here called Print All Reports. Now we don't have a magic button to just press and all the reports run, but at least you can run these reports from here now. So you're going to run your invoice register, all your AR reports, basically anything from this line up is what you should be doing daily. The rest of these are things that we suggest monthly. We run these monthly, we get our baseline reports, we know that everything balances. So when it comes time to do our financials, we know that our subledgers are going to agree. So I've already run most of these reports because I was working on my preparation. And what I do at this point is I go in and I kind of create a mini audit. So here on my trial balance, you can see that I have a column for my subledger. And that's what all those reports are that I ran, my accounts receivable, accounts payable. and I come in and I compare the balance sheet total or the trial balance total to my subledgers, and I want to ensure that there's not a difference. So I'm going to look at accounts receivable, accounts payable, customer deposits, and inventory, as well as my installer retainage report. So, like I said, now we've got just this one place where we can run all of those reports to get those totals. The one thing that I haven't done yet on this is to do basically an inventory reconciliation. So in this case, this customer has two accounts that make up their inventory. They have freight and they have an inventory balance. So we would want to compare this balance to our valuation report. But there's a couple things that go into reconciling that. So here we would say, we would take our general ledger balance and add that. And then we would want to do a plus or minus for our audit results. The audit results are the manual changes that you've made in your system. These are times when maybe you are doing a cycle count. They're going to show up here. So you scan your material and it shows that it has 25 feet, when in the system we have 24. It's going to add a yard to this, and it's going to come up with a change. This change does not automatically print, or it doesn't automatically update within the software. This is something that you have to manually do. So we would want to add this balance to our audit, our inventory reconciliation. So I believe that was the number. Then we also need to look at our AP RNI, which is that inventory received, not yet invoiced. And this is going to reflect, again, inventory that's in our valuation report, but not in the general ledger yet. So that total was $1378. We want to take that $1378 and add it to our trial balance. And then we want to add all of these items together. And this is our adjusted general ledger balance. And then we're going to compare it to the amount that we came up with when we looked at our inventory valuation. And in this case, we've got quite a difference. So I'm going to take that balance, put it back in here to come up with what my difference is. So I put the valuation. And obviously, we have a huge issue here. Now, this is just a test system, so it makes sense that we have that. Normally, I would say anything less than 4% is reasonable. You have to be careful of a couple of things when you are entering your AP invoices, making sure that the date that you enter your AP invoice agrees with the date of receipt. But if these numbers are really large, you can always reach out to us and we can assist you in trying to figure out what the difference is. But I suggest that this is done on a monthly basis to try to make sure that your inventory per the general ledger is staying in line with that of your valuation. A couple things I didn't show you was how to get to the audit report. Let me show you how to do that report. It is here in your inventory control, but you can also, or on your print all reports. So it is here on your print all reports, or you can go into inventory control and find that. So we've now reached month end. We've done all of our reports. And now it's January. What are we going to do? So the first thing I say is have a cutoff. You've got a number of items in your trial balance that need to be updated. You still have accounts payable that you're still receiving generally after the first of the year that reflect back to December. You may have some invoicing that you still need to do. You may have some customer accounts to clean up. You want to make sure to get those done as soon as you can. You don't want that hanging over your head through all of January. So make sure that the people in your company know we need to have all of this done as soon as possible. And then also understand the materiality of it. If you're waiting on an accounts payable invoice that's for $75, is that really material to the line of business that you're doing? You know, if you have $3 million in sales, that small of an invoice probably doesn't matter as much. The next thing post month end that you'll be doing is you'll be working on your bank reconciliation. So let's go into accounts payable and look here, bank reconciliation. You know, you'll be finalizing this, making sure that when you finalize your bank rec that everything zeroes out. You make sure that you want to clean up anything that has zero balances and clear those. So you can see that these may have been fixed AP items that we had to run a zero check on. Make sure and clean those so that when you're doing your reconciliation in the future, those things don't show up. You'll want to run your sales tax reports, and those are located in sales processing reports, menu 2, and sales tax reporting details. So this report you'll want to clear. So I would want to run this sales tax report, leaving the dates open, and print it. You can print it to PDF or to Excel. But when I'm actually doing my tax return, I want to do my history. And I want to just look at my sales for December so that I can make sure I'm getting the accurate information. You can, again, either print this to PDF or to Excel. Finally, you'll want to post any adjustments for prepaid insurance, for depreciation, or for accruals. After you've done all of these items, you've got the financial statements basically where you want them, or you're getting ready to start them. You'll want to go into the general ledger and do that soft close that we discussed earlier. So I would want to make sure that this would say period 1, 2024, so that no one can go in and make any changes. I'm going to work on my worksheets with my trial balance and the comparison, and make sure that I have supporting documentation for any of my other balance sheet items. Then I'm going to prepare my financials, make sure that those are issued. Financials can be found in the general ledger reports, the income statement and balance sheet. For your income statement, you can either print, if you would put 12 and 12, you would not have a monthly comparison. You would just be looking at everything that happened during period 12 on the first column, but it would give you a year to date as well. After you've prepared your financials and you've given them, you know, to your tax preparer, we'll kind of talk about that in a minute. But after we've done all of that, we want to go in and print our 1099s and get those ready to run. So here we have in accounts payable reports, accounts payable reports 2 of 2, we have print AP form 1099. My suggestion is to print a PDF version of your 1099s. And you can see here that we have our TIN number. That's good. If that's missing, you need to contact support and they'll help you put that in. But we print them. You can even go back and print previous years. We would print these and then verify the balances to ensure that what's showing on our 1099 agrees to what we've actually paid our installers or paid our landlord for rent or paid in interest for the year. Again, the different types of 1099s that you would need are here. We also have the ability to look at your 1099 calculations and an exception report. These are important if you're trying to verify the amounts that are on the 1099s. But first, like I said, print those 1099s to PDF. And then the second thing you'll do is print a vendor history by GL account. We would go in and we would say, you know, from 1/1 through the end of the year. But the account that we would want to look at is our labor account, where our labor expense is. So we would want to look at our cost of labor. And we can select, you know, we start with the count 5100, and then we would go through so that we could get all of those. Sorry, I have the wrong number there. 0.2. So we would have 5100 through 5100.2. We're picking up all of our labor, and we do just in this case want paid items only. And then we would print that report, summarize it, compare those totals to the 1099s. Once everything is correct, then we can print those final forms. After the 1099s, we have our tax preparation. In this case, you have finalized all of your financials. Everything's ready to go. You give your financials to your tax preparer. In this case, I like to make sure that my general ledger at this point is hard closed through period 11 or period 12, depending on your preferences. If you do close through period 12, note that in period 13, the only adjustments that you can do are general ledger entries. If you think your accountant may be coming back and saying, we need you to write off these accounts, they're not collectible, then you want to make sure and leave period 12 open, because you cannot make specific adjustments to your subledgers in period 13, only general ledger adjustments. So finally, the tax return's done. The accountant gives you back your adjustments and what you need to do. So you would go in to BMS, you would enter your adjustments through your journal posting. You would date those and put all the adjustments in, making sure that you're using last, 12/31/2023. You would run your updates, and then you would print a trial balance and compare that to the tax preparers. If it agrees, then you're ready to hard close the year. This is always kind of scary for people because you only do it once a year, but all you have to do is go into the end of year processing. You would put in 2023, a description. I usually put 2023 calendar year, and then click and run that. Obviously, I'm not going to run it here because I'm not ready to close this year for this customer. I'm not going to run it because I'm not ready to close this customer for the year. Once 2023 is hard closed, in 2024, you're going to have a couple of adjustments. you will see on the trial balance that we have some distributions. And some people like to make sure that the distributions are closed into retained earnings. And then once the year is closed, there'll be another account that will say current retained earnings, and then retained earnings. We close those current retained earnings into retained earnings, current earnings into retained earnings. Once that's done, then you are all set for 2024. At this point,
all right. Awesome job, Christine. Tons of information to go through on that. Truth be told, this is all way over my head. So thank you for joining me for the Q&A portion here, because I would be without a paddle. But based on the responses that we are getting via email and some of the chatter we're seeing through either Facebook or YouTube, this is going to be incredibly helpful for retailers to close out their year on a high note. And also just, there's nothing better than clean books, right? It's very rare to have those things match up nicely, and just having this framework and blueprint from you is so incredibly helpful. So thank you on that front for putting together this presentation. And again, based on the attendance and the way that we held, really helpful. So with that, if you guys want to drop any notes or questions you have for Christine, please start to do that now. And we already have a handful of questions from the community. So let's pull up number one. Does this have to be done, I assume, in terms of the overall prep on month's end 12/31, or I guess after or before? So Christine, when is the optimal time for this to be done?
So the preparation part, like making sure that accounts receivable is clean and AP, all of those you can be doing right now. You don't have to wait till month end. When it comes to actually running all of the reports and tying it out to your trial balance, we certainly suggest month end, because nobody really wants to be spending New Year's Eve out at a party. They would much rather be at home at their desk doing this. But we do really suggest that you run these reports on month end, on that last day of the month. Now, year end this year is on a Sunday. Maybe people aren't working on Saturday and you go in Saturday and do it. Just make sure that nothing else is done in the books after that, that you wouldn't capture that activity.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how many retailers are open New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, but just take it from Christine. Make sure that when you lock these up, nothing else is happening. Right, Christine?
Yeah. Right. Until you want to have one good set of books where everything agrees. So when you start doing your financials, if there's an issue, you can go back and find like where it was perfect, which was on the month end.
And I think what Christine said rings true for everyone, and is just like a golden rule. One set of books. If you have multiple, something has gone wrong. So
exactly.
The process, run these reports, keep it to one. All right, let's pull up question number 2, which is, what to do if the sub-ledgers don't agree to the trial balance? Literally could be foreign to me. Christine, this one's back to you.
So if your accounts receivable detail, like the report you run that shows what everyone owes you, doesn't agree with what the trial balance is, there's a couple of areas that you can start out with. You could look at your general ledger detail and see if you've made any adjustments to that account that didn't impact a specific customer. You can always reach out to support@ourmaster.com to get assistance if something doesn't tie. So that's basically what I would say is, if things don't tie and they haven't for a number of months, then reach out to us for assistance.
And in terms of where they can reach out, that's either via support or broadloom.com via the BMS login and support?
Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
Awesome. So if you guys do have any questions, obviously ping us. We're around. We're also on the podium chat on our website on problem.com. We're here to help. I also love seeing the chatter from multiple channels. Not everyone knows we've recently just started producing this also on Facebook. Brian Elias, I see you. And for those who aren't on the Facebook side, one set of books, IRS loves that. So take it from Christine, take it from Brian, one set of books. But again, we're here to help support. One little nugget that I'll just throw out there: don't wait until the actual end of month to start asking these questions. There's a reason we're doing it on December 12th, and that's to make sure you don't leave this to the last minute. So make sure you know what you're doing. All right, we got another question popping up. Let's see. What if you're behind on bank reconciliations? That's a good question.
Well, the good thing about your bank reconciliations is you can do those anytime. But my suggestion would be try to get those caught up as quickly as possible. If you're not doing them monthly, you may be missing out on errors made by your bank or items that have been sitting in your bank account that haven't cleared and that you need to contact a vendor or find out why that deposit didn't make it to the bank. But you can do those anytime. Just try to get them caught up as quickly as you can.
All right. Just always putting our best foot forward. But again, trying is the best. One set of books and not leaving it to the last minute. So, it's the things we can control versus the things we can't. But you being on top of it is going to be the big difference here. We now have another question from Kara Vines. Kara asks, after final adjustments are made, most likely January, what is the adjustments made to the general ledger, current earnings and current retained earnings? And before Christine responds to that or asks for clarification, one thing to remember, while we have a deep experience and knowledge base in accounting and taxes, make sure you're always talking to your accountant and your tax professional. We want to provide guidance in the forum, but you always want to check with the person actually doing your books. So, Christine, more information needed this, or this one easy?
No, this one's easy. So after you've made the adjustments from your tax preparer or your CPA, hopefully that's amazing if you would get them done in January. Usually it's closer to March. But once you've closed 2023, that's when you would make those adjustments for current earnings to current retained earnings and distributions. Those are the main entries that you would need to be doing after the close.
Okay. And Kara, let us know if there's any clarifications or additional follow-ups you have on that one, but super helpful on that front. I know this is going to come to a big surprise based on the way I'm asking these questions and respect them. I don't do my own taxes. I mean, that's a big surprise. Okay. Anyone else? We just crushed through those questions. I know we've been here for 45 minutes. Like Christine's provided an incredible amount of information, so people are probably still just absorbing it all. And we are also going to post this video and a light breakdown on the Broadloom blog, so that'll be up shortly. And we will send that out to everyone on the BMS client list. If you are interested in reading more about that yourself and you're not on, if you don't have business management software, you can still find it on the Broadloom blog. Just want to provide information and guidance for everyone, just so we're all on a really good foot going into 24. Nothing will make you feel better going into next year than having one set of clean books. Thank you, Mr. Elias on the Facebook side. It says, awesome job, Christine. And
Thank
I
you.
can't echo that sentiment anymore. So it looks like we still have over 60 plus folks on here. So guys, this is your question. You have an opportunity to talk to Christine. If not, we will shut things down. I already see we have a couple of emails to respond to here. So we will get to you as well. But if there is nothing else, I think let's give a round of applause for Christine. Not an easy topic to cover and to keep it interesting and to keep people engaged. And Christine did just that. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. And again, one set of books, make them clean, follow the facts, and we'll have everything posted on the Broadloom blog. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And if we don't see you, it's too soon for New Year's. But the holidays are right around the corner. So we'll see you guys soon. Have a wonderful one.